Hey, what's happening? Keith from Trigger Happy. Going to take a look at a Sig 556 pistol. This is considered a pistol because of the fact that there's no stock and it has a short barrel, which we'll get to shortly. Pretty nice setup. I like the gun. I like the way it feels, but it is very heavy. I mean, this thing, I don't know if there's hardly any polymer on the whole thing, so it's a very heavy gun. It's going to have pretty much the same weight as a rifle, more or less. So, you know, that's kind of maybe the drawback to it here, but nevertheless, we'll get to that. Chambered in 5.56 or 223, so you're shooting a rifle cartridge through a short-barreled gun. It has a 10-inch barrel, so it is very short, but, you know, again, the weight is an issue. In terms of, it's got a standard flash hider. It has a 10-inch barrel, like I said. It's a fairly thin profiled barrel, so you can see it's kind of cut away, and I don't know if you can catch the barrel underneath here, but you can see it's tapered back here, so it is fairly thin. It's a 1 in 7 twist, so you're going to get a relatively good accuracy out of a short barrel, but you know, it's not for engaging targets, you know, at 150 yards. It's certainly not made for that. Could it be done? Potentially, but you know, really not what this gun is for. It is adjustable gas, so you can, you know, with this button here or lever, I don't know what you want to call it, you can adjust the way that the gas cycles the gun and things if you want a different setup. You know, you want to check your manual out for what setup is best for you. It does have a quad rail, which in my opinion is kind of overkill, because it adds so much weight to the front of the gun. You know, it's still balanced pretty well, but there is a ton of weight up front. And quite honestly, I don't know what kind of accessory other than a Ford vertical grip that I'm going to run on a gun like this. I just don't see a need for a lot of additional accessories, because it really isn't set up for those types of applications anyway. And it's just going to add more weight to the front of the gun and throw the balance out even more. Front sight, which is removable, so which is nice, you know, or you know, if you want to take that off there because you're probably going to be running some form of red dot or optic on this gun, you know, you probably want to get that out of the way. You may think it doesn't have a rear sight, but it does. It has this little flip-up peep sight, if you can get a look at that here. It's not real sturdy. It's an emergency sight, according to the manual, and that's all I would use it for. Not overly adjustable, and, you know, I could see a drop or something just breaking that thing right off. So, not something that I would be using very often, if ever. As far as the bolt, a bolt on a 5.56 gun from Sig is different than an AR. You know, it charges differently. Obviously, it charges more like an AK style gun than an AR-15. It does have this nice little rubber dust cover. I like that back here, but there's no traditional dust cover like you would find on an AR, because that's not the way the gun's set up. Fire controls are semi-ambidextrous. The magazine release is only on this side, but the selector switch, I shouldn't call it that, the safety is here and also on this side as well, so that's set up nicely. As far as the trigger goes, it's a different trigger than you're going to find on a rifle. It reminds me more of a pistol trigger, honestly. It's not a bad pull. Put it on fire here. You got a little bring up, but it's a very light break, so it's a light pull. It's just a little longer than you're used to on a lot of rifles. Pistol grip is nice. This might be about the only polymer on the whole gun, which is here on the grip. It's a little smaller than I'm used to, but I can easily get all my fingers on here and it's going to work just fine. You'll notice also the magwell has kind of a cant to it. That's a design feature of these guns. So it's a little different than, say, an AR where it's more flat, but that's the way it is, and I don't have any problems with that. Trigger guard is removable, so if you want to go with a different trigger guard, that's perfectly doable there as well. Another thing, these guns don't break down in exactly the same way as you might be used to on an AR platform. It's more of a screw type, where you're going to have to unscrew it. It's not pins that you can just pop real easily, even though the back pin is that way. So, you know, what's the application for a gun like this? Well, you know, It could be similar to a short-barreled rifle setup. You know, you've got a sling attachment back here for a single-point sling, which is nice. And, you know, if you want to use this in close quarters combat, it's certainly capable of something like that for training-wise and things of that nature. It's just, for me, for the application here, it's a heavy, heavy gun. I'm not sure the exact weight on this gun, but, you know, it's very front heavy. You know, obviously, if I'm going to have a 30-round magazine in this, probably going to go with a PMag just for a little more saved weight. It's going to balance it out a little bit. But overall, it is a heavy gun and sort of front heavy, so, you know, kind of a thing to keep in mind. Also, these guns are pretty high on the retail end. I'm not exactly sure where this thing's going to retail. This particular one is lightly used, so, you know, different price point there. But, you know, check it out. It's a nice gun. It's a fun gun. There's no doubt about that. So, Sig 556, and I think it's a P556 is the actual number. And check it out. This is Keith from Trigger Happy. Have a good one.